Landon, it's time to read. You want to read another book? This one's called The Best Nest. Grandpa's ready to read to you, Landon. Do you want to read with Grandpa? Okay, get in your chair. Get ready. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. I remember this book. I like this book a lot. Here's the mama and papa bird, and they're flying with stuff in their mouth to do what, you think? To make their nest, I'd guess. The Best Nest. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, my nest is best. And there's the mama bird. She's kind of rolling his eyes. Mr. Bird may not have a great voice, I don't know. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. I'm tired of this old place, says Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. See, Mrs. Bird is giving Mr. Bird the business here, saying, you got to find us a new house. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. It's a little hole in a tree, and I bet they're going to try to make their nest in there. But somebody else had already moved in. What's that? That's a rakakakoon. So they looked at another house. It's a shoe. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. Whoops. Here comes somebody, a big old stocking foot. You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. And off they fly to go find another house, right? So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. Do you know what that is? It's a mailbox. I've always wanted a house with a flag, says Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. What's happening? The mailman's delivering the mail into their house, and that's not good. Mrs. Bird is not happy. Mr. Bird is not happy. You make too many mistakes, says Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick out the next house. There's a church with a steeple. And here it is right here. Fly in, and they're going to make their nest up there. The bird flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big, said Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. What's that? That's a big bell. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. See them getting some hay from the field? Then they got some soda straws and some broom straws. You see them over here? They took the straw from the girl and they're getting some straw from the broom. And they needed some sweater string. Oh my goodness, they're taking it right off that guy's sweater as he's wearing it. They got some stocking string. They took it off of that guy. And some mattress stuffing. See, they're taking it right out of that mattress while the guy reads. They got some horse hair. They took it from his tail. And they got some man hair. They're taking it from the man. They couldn't take any from Grandpa. Grandpa doesn't have any hair. Not any hair. Soon, they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horse hair, and all the man hair they could carry, and they took it all back to build their nest. See? All the stuff they're carrying, and they're going to go right in there to their new nest, right? Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. There they are, building it right on top of that bell. This nest is really the best, says Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. Mr. Bird is singing again. He's very happy. Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew to the top of his house. He sang his song again. I love our nest, I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is best. He was so busy singing that he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. There's Mr. Parker. Wonder what he's going to do. Uh-oh. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. Uh-oh. The rope rang the bell right under the Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong. Poor Mrs. Bird, she's getting all shook around from that big bell. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. There she goes. Bong, 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 bong. And there goes Mr. Bird too. It even knocked him off the top. When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and manhair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? He lost her. I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low, he looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He was flying all around looking for his wife, Mrs. Bird. I hope he finds her. Oh, goodness. He looked down into the chimney. Mrs. Bird was not in there. That's just a bunch of smoke, isn't it? He looked down into the water barrel, but Mrs. Bird was not in there. The horses wonder what he's looking for, I bet, don't you think? They just want to get a drink. Then he saw a big fat cat. There was a big fat smile on the fat cat's face, and there were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Mr. Bird started to cry. Oh dear, he cried. That big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. I hope not. Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Miss Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark and it began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Look at that, dark clouds, and he's still crying. Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. Look at that. He can't see where he's going. He smashed right into something. What do you think that is? It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest until it stops raining. Oh my goodness, look who is inside. Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing, I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, this nest is best. Look, she's singing now just like he was. You're here, gasped Mr. Bird. I thought you hated this old house. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind. You see, there's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird. Look, there's an egg. She laid an egg in her old house, in her old nest. And looky there, it's a new baby bird. And that is the end. I hope you like this one, Landon. This one was called The Best Nest. And Grandpa read it to you because Grandpa loves Landon. All right, Landon, we'll see you soon.